If you want wide and thick lats, this is the video you've been waiting for. On this episode of How to Train Hard, we are focusing on lats. Now, I'm not talking about your traps or your rhomboids or your teres system. We are focusing on lats. The exercises that I'm going to show you to use are going to be hard and heavy. They're going to tear down muscle fiber. And once again, we're going to have those stretch and fatigue exercises. And you will know it when you are done with this exercise that you have worked your lats hard. The first two exercises that we're going to do are designed to tear down muscle fiber and build up mass in those lats. Before we get started working our lats, we're going to do some assisted pull-ups. You don't want it to be too heavy. What we're working on is activation and making that mind-muscle connection. So you want to do about 3 sets of 10, and remember that you're pulling your scapula together and you're not pulling yourself up with your arms. So the first motion that we're going to do is a one-arm lat pull-down, and this is more of an isolation move. And we really want to make sure that we are truly isolating that lat, and we want to make sure that we're getting that mind-muscle connection. First, I want you to notice the hand position. You want to have your thumb upright. This puts the shoulder in a neutral position. You want to keep the elbow as tight to the side of the body as possible. You pull and you hold it, and then you control it on the way up. So you want a really good stretch. Pull, hold, 1, 2, and control it on the way up. That stretch is really important. You should probably do 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. You really need this to be heavy, and you really need to be in control the entire time. And by the end of each set, that lat should really be burning. Something I want you to remember is what are the 5 motions of the lat, the latissimus dorsi. The first one we all know and love is shoulder adduction, meaning bringing your shoulder toward the center of your body. We have what's called shoulder depression. The lat pulls down this way. It's called medial rotation, where the palm is really twisting over this way. Shoulder flexion, meaning we're pulling it behind the body, and part of scapular retraction. So to make our lat exercises really effective, we're going to avoid trying to use the mid-back, the traps, and the rhomboids, and we're going to keep the motions here so that we're primarily using that medial rotation and that scapular retraction that are really going to focus on the lats themselves. The second back isolation move that we're going to do is the T-bar row. Now, the reason why we're using this is because it is a chest supported row, so we're not getting any momentum from the hips or anything else. So we want to make sure that we use a neutral grip. So we want our hands here. We're going to pull straight back so we get that scapular flexion. Now, the key to this is number 1, the grip. You want to make sure that you're getting a full range of motion. If you're only pulling here, we're hardly using the back at all. We're mainly just using the supporting musculature to help pull back. So make sure you use a complete range of motion. The next thing I would really suggest is when you get heavy crazy on this, you're going to lose range of motion. So use a tempo instead. So pull up, squeeze, 1, 2, down, 2, 1, 2, down, 2. Make that mind-muscle connection so you really feel that squeeze right there. And I highly recommend using lifting straps for this. So pull, 1, 2, 3. Pull, 1, 2, 3. Maybe for a second set, use a pause set. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Now keep those thumbs in the upright position and set the grips so that your elbows can stay close to your side. This will help you use the lats instead of more of the mid-back of the rhomboids and the traps. Do 3 sets of 8 to 10. If you've been enjoying this content, make sure you hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. Hey, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Masters Muscle. All right, another alternative to a chest supported row is the bent over row. I really like using a barbell and a bent over row. Now, the problem with this exercise is if you are not good with your form, you're gonna end up pulling with your back. You're gonna end up jerking up and pulling using momentum to take the weight for you. You have to stay in that low position. Now, in that low position, you're gonna be able to make that good contraction here and be able to squeeze it. Once again, you want to have a full range of motion. If your arms are just ending up parallel to your side and you're having to yank it up the rest of the way, you're not doing your job. So once again, use tempo. So pull it up, 1, 2, and maybe 1, 2 down. That's a 12-20 tempo. That is a great tempo for bent over rows. Please put your ego up at the front door when you're doing this. You jerking this weight around is going to do nothing in the grand scheme of things. And you're here to grow, to make your lats thick and wide, right? So why jerk around with it? Let's just do this right to begin with. Now, as far as a grip is concerned, that is your personal preference. For me, I feel like I can make a better mind-muscle connection by using an underhand grip. So if you have a hard time making that mind-muscle connection, then I would focus on technique and just pulling to the belly button. So when we're here, but for me, when I have my hand underneath like this, I just feel like I can get a better squeeze. Now, I can get my elbows tighter when I have my palms up. When I rotate my hands over, it naturally wants to make the elbows flare out. But you have to avoid using your biceps. So that's why I use wrist wraps or lifting straps on this so I can take the load off my bicep. Try it that way with a light load, pull it to your belly button and hold it, really flex and squeeze that back, and I promise you're gonna feel it a lot more. So once again, this has got to be heavy, but it has to be in control. So if you get a hair squirrely on your last couple reps on your last set, okay. So I would probably do 3 sets of 8 to 10. And if you get to 10 on your first one and you still have more in the tank, go for it. Hit it, make them really pretty. But you have to adjust that weight where those last reps are killer dillers, but you can still do them. Now maybe on your 3rd set, you get to number 8 and everything is beginning to fall apart, just do your best. But if it gets ugly and you think you're just gonna have to jerk it up, don't do it. It's not worth your back. It's not worth it in the grand scheme of things. So when I start the pull, I'm having a curve supported in my back. I pull and control the whole time. So squeeze my shoulder blades together, good stretch, squeeze, squeeze. That squeeze is super important to make this work. So do not jerk the bar like this. Stay in a low position, control, squeeze, down, squeeze, down. One more time, squeeze, down. An alternative to a good isolation row is this one arm low row. This is a hammer strength machine. This is the Isolateral low row. So just like a dumbbell row where you want to pull to the hip, we need that scapular retraction. So when you grab this, make sure that you're grabbing it at the very bottom of the bar, that you get a very good stretch and you're pulling through. And the closer you can pull to the side of your chest, the better. Now, when this gets heavy, it's very hard to make that mind-muscle connection. Yeah, we have to go heavy, but we really need to fatigue out this muscle. And we got to find that exact right balance where it's really damn heavy, but I can still be in control of it. So I probably want to do 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps, but it has to be sweet Lord take me home at the end of each one of these sets. So use tempo sets again on this. So pull, hold it, 1, 2, down. Hold it, 1, 2, down. You know, there's a variety of tempos you can use on this, but the point is you need to learn to make that mind-muscle connection. So make sure that you're using a full range of motion. You know, once again, if you're just pulling right here or you're just yanking with momentum, you're not doing the job. And that's the reason why your lats really aren't growing. Momentum means nothing. You need to be in control of this as much as you possibly can. To engage your lat, your arm has to be out in front because your lat is attaching up here. So you don't need to bend over or anything, but you can see my lat here. I'm just going to press down, and this is the natural motion of that lat. This is called shoulder adduction. Boom. So this will strengthen your scapular adduction. It will strengthen your lats. It'll strengthen your teres major, and you'll really feel that connection, and this will really help with hypertrophy. So let me put a little bit more weight on this because that one was too light. So I'm going to grab it. I'm already flexing, and I squeeze it. I get just a little bit past. I squeeze. Squeeze. One more. Squeeze. Now if I wanted to get more range of motion, I can also come down here, push my butt out, and drive it down. Have control of it on the way up, down. It is really important to squeeze. Get full range of motion. You want to have your thumb rotated toward your hip, and you want to drive past your hips. That way you're getting all the actions of the latissimus dorsi. I'll show you another exercise with this, doing the same type of thing. The first version I showed you will work really well with your lower lats, but this will work well with your upper back and the upper part of your lat as well. And I learned this from Mountain Dog, God rest his soul. So you want to have your hands at an angle like this, and sometimes I'll have my thumbs bound together and I drive it down, up, drive it down, and I have control over it the entire time. I can make it a little harder, more range of motion. And I'm really pulling my scapula together. And that, oh yeah, I feel that burn. And keep your hands at this angle. Now I see a lot of people do a straight arm pull down and they're just here. But one of the motions of your latissimus dorsi is to have the hand go from here to here. That's why you need to get a full range of motion. Now, I've taught you these exercises, what you should be doing, how many sets and reps, but it's up to you when you get home that you have to have the proper nutrition, the right protein levels, so that now that you've torn down the fiber, you've put back what you need to make it grow. And don't forget, you still have to sleep and you still have to keep those stress levels down to make your body really respond. Now, if you need help with the nutrition part of it, contact me, leave a message below. I'm a certified nutritionist and sports nutritionist, and I know I can help you.